news, everyone.
I'm back, baby.
It's Jake Ciely.
I'm great. Everybody else sucks.
Oh,
no. It's every nightmare I've ever had.
excuse me?
It's time to check the link.
Pretty crazy, huh? But it doesn't matter because none of this has anything to do with the show.
You know what? You just made the list.
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
It's all in football.
Sure, we talk about it all the time. Really? No.
What's up, you championship ducks? I hope. This is All In Football, live on BetsTV. If you're watching on BetsTV.com, YouTube channel, thumbs up, subscribe. The Canadian people up there with Chris, we love you as well. As you can see, it is not just Lauren and myself. As if you were looking for us yesterday, it was no Meaney because it's week 18. I don't even know what we're doing the show for. It's just so we can talk about you insane people talking about waivers in week 18 because we still care about you. Maybe you're doing a 1 week. Maybe you're thinking about DFS really early in this week, whatever it might be. Maybe you want to celebrate championships. I see people already in the comments who said, Najee, I can't believe that Najee Harris play. Like, I was getting Barkley ready for bed, because the game was over. I was wrapping up my waiver column, and then everybody's like, oh, my God, Najee just won me the game. Oh, my God, Najee just blew me the game. And I'm like, what the hell happened? And then I found out that the Browns just let him score at the end. So it is Lauren, at Stepmom Lauren. You know Meaney on his 8 billion shows on this network, at Chris Meaney and Mean Streets and Ciely. What is it? I don't want to mess it up.
Dangle BetTV. Yeah, we had Eric Young, who was feeling a little under the weather, I think, like a lot of us recently, but he powered through this morning. He was a big champ for us.
Okay. The funny thing is, every time I see the graphic, I'm like, why do they have my name on your graphic? So I was like, because it's like Ciely. It looks like Ciely if you look at it.
Oh, got
real
you.
quick.
Yeah.
The very first time I saw the graphic, I was like, what is that? But anyway, let's talk. Oh, but you want to hear something crazy? I am going to talk about myself for a second. I don't care.
Always.
If anybody frequents the website IGN, it's a gaming, movies, TV show, blah, blah. Like, I actually go there most every day, which if you get the gaming shirt, well, this is actually an anime shirt. If anybody catches that, I'll see if anybody mentions what it is. But anyway, I was in the comments. It was the top 25 episodes of The Office. And of course, I decided to read it because I rank everything. And I was seeing if I agreed. I got to the comments. You know what the 5th comment was? Jake Ciely did it first. I was like,
oh, baby.
Wow. Like, on a completely different website. Like, no idea. Like, yeah, Jake Ciely did it first. I told that guy, and the reason I told him I would give him a shout out. So that's why. That's why I wanted to do it myself. You got any championships, Lauren? Nope. Sorry, Chris.
I was going to ask her if she was surprised that Jake Ciely had done it first. I mean, no, I don't think she was surprised at all.
No, as much as I love to make lists, he literally blows that into the stratosphere. But I do actually, I did win. And I was going up against, leading into this championship game was like, oh, there's no way in a million years I even have a shot at this, because I was going up against Alvin Kamara, Jonathan Taylor, and Justin Herbert, Dawson Knox, like all these huge names. My 3 starting running backs, because I started one in the flex, was Jared Patterson, Boston Scott, and David Montgomery. And it ended up working out really well. And then I actually had to sub out KJ Osborne because of the whole Kirk Cousins situation. And it ended up doing very well for me. So that's actually one of the takeaways I have from 2021 is the beauty of some backups this year, because it did win me a championship. It was my big money league too, which I'm happy
We're going
about.
to talk about that game in a second. Do you have any, Chris?
I won the FTN league, surprisingly. Oh my goodness. And with this garbage team, like Lauren just talked about some of the players, listen to some of these guys. Like, it was a super flex, and I was led by Allen and Burrow and Jamar Chase. But Braxton Barrios was on my team. Deontay Foreman was on my team. Jared Patterson was on my team. Robbie Anderson was on my squad. He had 2 points. Devontae Freeman, 8 points. And then Boston Scott as well as Treadwell. Like, this team it's brutal. There's no reason for it to win. It put up 192 points. I hadn't flirted with that all year long. I limped into the playoffs, and some of my better teams
I'm looking something up.
got crushed. Like, I lost one of my other finals, and I thought that team was pretty strong. Like, had some good players on it. Devontae Adams, Jonathan Taylor, And then Najee Harris had that big run at the end, and I ended up losing by 5 points. But it's crazy, right? Fantasy, like it's just honestly it's a crapshoot every week.
It's funny you say that.
Real quick, no, it's not funny. Hold on a second.
It is funny.
Everybody in the comments, I want to see these titles. I saw a little big man said Najee won. So if you won titles, if you missed titles, feel free to comment. But go ahead, Lauren. Also, Lauren, before you also go into what you were going to say, so I'm prefacing your preface is your vert to Furt shirt. I wanted to celebrate this. It's like. That's the best. Swedish chef. Vert Furt is like one of the best memes out there. Anyway,
I know.
continue.
I have to give a shout out to Jessica Bingham for turning me onto this shirt. But yeah, so you were naming off your squad here. At least you had some solid quarterback play. I had Taysom Hill, and then my tight end was Foster Moreau. But literally, I had Cooper Kupp and Deebo Samuel, which were like the equivalent of what kept me afloat.
Yeah.
That like literally, it was the best week for me possibly to pick up the right waiver wire targets. And I think literally doing the show as well as some other shows and articles that I write, it really helps you guys. It really, really does help to pay attention because we can have some ins and outs that maybe the casual fantasy player does not have.
So what you're saying is doing a show with me made you smarter.
Sure. Sure.
Jake Ciely did it first.
Jake Ciely did it first. There you go. Tony Ballard could do it better.
Hey, I'm just disappointed. I have so many third place titles. Thank you to Rashad Penny. I just want to put that out there. It's just, so my home league, I scored 88 last week. In third place, 192.4. Yeah, that's such a great feeling to just destroy that third place game, and nobody else even came close. I want to go back, Lauren. You mentioned the Vikings game, and I want to talk about this as a separate sidebar before we even kind of talk Week 18 waivers. There's already people saying we still have home leagues, family leagues. Seems a lot of family leagues are the ones that keep playing all the way through the final week 17 before this year, and now Week 18. But you mentioned the Vikings game. There was two things out of that game. Sean Mannion was the starter, and immediately the Justin Jefferson conversation came into play. And I'm curious for Chris, because Chris ranks like I do. I stopped at 13 with the context of this is where I would risk his upside, because I said, look, we had Amon-Ra St. Brown, went off with Tim Boyle. Like, we went too far with Tim Boyle saying he was going to stink because Tim Boyle stinks, and it didn't affect Amon-Ra St. Brown. Meanwhile, Justin Jefferson had a meh game, 8.8 points. But, again, it's Sean Mannion. We've seen what Mike Glennon's doing to the Giants. So I want to ask you, Lauren, was where you were going down the road with Justin Jefferson, maybe to learn taking forward to 2022, because you can make the argument both ways. You can say the talent is just too good. And then the interesting thing I wanted to bring in this conversation was, if you've noticed, who did worse was Dalvin Cook, and not one person on earth was saying, you got to bench Dalvin Cook. Like, there were people who said you got to bench Justin Jefferson. Nobody said that about Cook. What were you thinking before this game, Lauren, and how would you try to apply that going forward?
I was thinking, how close is my cocktail and how much Pepto-Bismol do I have if I'm going to have to watch this? But you're right. There was the big argument for me was my threshold on who I'd bench Justin Jefferson for instead of playing him, because that was definitely an argument, because there is a backup quarterback. And I think this was just a swing and a miss. I think this was an abnormality because Justin Jefferson is too good. And if you notice the first, I think it was 10 passes, they were all to Tyler Conklin. They should have all been to Justin Jefferson. So
also, if you would have told me Justin Jefferson was getting double digits, or if I would have told you Justin Jefferson was getting double digits even with Sean Mannion, I don't think anybody would even thought twice about benching him.
Right. I mean, yeah. It's hard. It's hard. It's hindsight is always 20/20.
So were we okay? And I'll kind of transition to you this on Chris. Were we okay in our evaluation of Jefferson being like a fringe wide receiver one, but maybe we did not downgrade Dalvin Cook enough, similar to what Barkley's happened to him and happened to him and the Giants? Like, there's a lot of H's in there. What's going on with the Giants?
Yeah, I think I was with you on Jefferson. I think I'm at a wide receiver 13 or 14. Honestly, though, were you really going to sit this guy in your championship knowing the quarterback play was going to be so poor? We've seen DK Metcalf with Geno Smith have a 64-yard touchdown. It can just happen. Lauren talked about how great
actually
he
Tyler
is.
Lockett had a huge game that week.
Exactly. I agree with everything that Lauren said. It was an uneasy feeling. If you had Justin Jefferson, you weren't feeling great when Kirk Cousins was placed on the COVID list. You just lost your quarterback, and Jair Alexander was coming back. It was already a tough spot anyways at Lambeau and Green Bay and the Packers. At least he got you, 8 fantasy points in a half-point setting? I'm looking back at his game log here. There was a game this season where he had 3. So at least he gave you 8 fantasy points. You were starting this guy unless you were in a shallow 8-team, 10-team league and you had, I don't know, like you mentioned Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think I would have considered that. But I think at the same time, I'd probably take that high ceiling upside guy. He did it. Yeah, good on Florio, right?
And that was the context, is the wide receivers behind Jefferson. I even said this in my rankings when people were asking in the comments. I said, there are a lot of safer wide receivers. Yes. But you didn't answer the bigger question, is do we not give Dalvin Cook enough of a downgrade? Like
I didn't answer it either.
I know you guys are skipping the big one here, because I had Dalvin Cook, I think at 6 or 7 at running back. I'm like, this is the similar situation. Is Dalvin effing Cook? It's still a top 10 running back. How far are you going to go before you bench him? But the reason I want to hone in this, and I'm coming for you, I'll give my opinion too, is because it took us weeks and weeks and weeks before we finally kicked Saquon Barkley outside of the top 10 and then the top 20. We kicked that out of Chris Meaney and I last week on Monday's show. We did 24 running backs before we got to Saquon Barkley. And that was the point, is are we not reactionary enough? Are we not factoring in the offense enough, even if they are elite? Like say Nick Chubb is playing, just because he might not even play in week 18, but let's say Nick Chubb's playing in week 18, but Baker Mayfield isn't. Do we still rank him as a top 10 running back? And I think maybe that's the conversation we need to have as fantasy people.
Yeah, for me, this was a question of back to the swing and a miss thing that I took, an abnormality situation. Because if I'm looking at this just basically, right, in a basic setting, if we're going to have a backup quarterback who played terrible, who's not very good, it's Sean Mannion. Even his name sounds weird. To me, that says run the football. It says run the football over and over and over again. In a cold setting, especially when you're away in Lambeau, run. So I don't think I would ever have changed this just because it's Sean Mannion. If anything, I would have upgraded Dalvin Cook even more if I had him lower than that. So this was a weird abnormality. I am not making any of those changes. Now, the Nick Chubb one is different, though, because where the heck was he for about how many? It almost seemed like half the game he was out. But then they even said, so Lisa, I think it's Lisa Salter, she's on the sideline. They're like, there's no injury designation for him. He just wasn't on the field. And then, but now he's banged up. I don't even know. That's a really weird situation.
He was checking in on Antonio. He was curious.
Sure. He's like, hey, how did that work for you? I don't even know. But it was, no, there's no reason in a million years why anyone should ever want or should have downgraded Dalvin Cook. It's just fantasy football. And I don't even know what happened to him in this game and why, but here we are.
What happened was 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, 3-0. Like they just couldn't get anything going. What do you have? 9 carries? They weren't on the field. They couldn't sustain drives. I'm with Lauren. Yeah. I'm not benching this guy. You downgrade him a little bit, but it's still Cook. And teams had been able to run on the Packers. Like they had been giving up some rushing yards to some significant rushing yards to running backs. So you just, for me, I just thought, Jake, that Cook would be. He also got hurt and left. That's part of, sometimes that happens to Dalvin Cook. He left. He was on the sidelines for a little bit. Madison came in, and then he just, and then I don't even know if he really touched the field in the last 3 or 4 series in that game. As a guy who had over 2.5 catch props or 2.5 catches for a prop, he just got it.
I knew there
he
was
had 0 yards. He had 0. I was stressing because I thought we'd get some checkdowns, but it's like, where is Dalvin Cook? He's not on the field. To Lauren's point, it was a lot of Conklin, but I think you just play those backs, right? Like we talked about Saquon. You just mentioned where we had him ranked last week. It was week in and week out. He was brutal, right? Right. At least Cook was. It was just we didn't have a sample size.
And then
we
what
just
did Barkley
figured
do?
He'd get 20 touches.
Nobody's mentioned he got 100 yards last week on the ground. Yeah. Nothing in the receiving game because the receiving game actually.
We made the list.
If anybody to check, just so you know, the Bears played an NFL football game. And their net yards passing given up on the season went down because the Giants had -10 net passing yards because Glennon threw for 24. But when you factor in the sacks for net for overall. So, yes, the Bears played an additional game and gave up fewer yards for the entire season. That's how bad it was. But, yeah, he ran for over 100 yards, being the only option. With Mike, again, put that, like, think about that. Mike Lennon was that bad. That offense was that bad. And then Barkley still had 100 yards. So, yeah, I think we have to kind of look at that going forward. There was a question in here I do want to talk about. Austin, we're going to get to that. We're going to talk about kind of like keeper thoughts, if there's any like moves you can still make. I know a lot of leagues like mine, it locked Sunday, and then that was it. That was your last chance. I did a purge. Yeah. I actually dropped Barkley because I'm not keeping him because he's $50-something bucks. I dropped Saquon Barkley, Cordero Patterson, Amari Cooper, and I went and grabbed like Khalil Herbert. What happens if David Montgomery gets hurt in week 2 of the preseason? You know, I like that, like those kind of guys. And I do want to talk about that because that's smart. Shout out to Chris Scone Rock. He is actually a friend of mine in the chat. He is getting married at the end of this month. He is a Vikings fan. I'm sorry. Hopefully that makes it better, is the fact that he's getting married. So,
well, congrats.
Yeah, congrats.
Yes.
Bachelor fun weekend at the cabin this weekend. So that's where we're
Nice.
going. So hopefully everybody's healthy. Look at that. Listen, yeah. But yeah, that'll make up for me being a Vikings fan. Shout out to Joe Holka getting proposal on the Vikings field last week.
That was super cool. That was nice, right? His fiance now a cheerleader for the Vikings for the past few years. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So a lot of Vikings. There's good Viking stuff out there still. So, all right, let's talk about the Buccaneers. And no, we're not going to talk about Antonio Brown. I'm going to save you guys. I was actually legitimately thinking, like, at the end of the show, taking my shirt off and walking off and not even doing the outro. just to
You should have. You should have.
But yes, we're not talking Antonio Brown. We're not talking the wide receivers yet. We're talking running backs because it's week 18. And what better way to talk running backs than the return of Le'Veon Bell? Because the Buccaneers legitimately might not have anybody else at running back as of today. Obviously, they're not going to go into Le'Veon Bell as their only running back into week 18. But if Keyshawn Vaughn can't return, if Ronald Jones' injury is severe enough to let him not return, and Leonard Fournette is already on IR. Lauren, are we doing Le'Veon Bell in week 18? Are we picking up Le'Veon Bell and rolling him out there because he's walking into 15-plus touches?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you kind of have to. Like, what world do we live in that the last 3 weeks
we can't even say this is 2021 anymore?
No.
Now it's 2022.
What, I mean, literally, we're talking about Rex Burkhead, Deonta Foreman, and Le'Veon Bell. Like, where are we? What is happening right now? But it's viable. That's what's so weird. But yeah, I guess you kind of have to. And that's just weird. I had a total brain fart this morning talking to Jake, and he's like, don't forget about Le'Veon Bell. I'm like, why? That's so weird. I had a total brain fart. I thought he still played for the Ravens. I was doing like 400 things at one time in my defense. But then I was like, oh yeah. Oh my God. Why? We're here. This is what we're doing.
So Le'Veon Bell over Burkhead, over Devonta Freeman, over all those options, Chris. Yeah, I see you thinking about it.
I'm thinking about it, but I'm also thinking what Lauren said. What year is it, right? We talked about Rashad Penny off the top. We've been talking about Penny for years. He finally has showed up. Like, I rolled out Laquan Treadwell. Are you kidding me? I rolled out this guy in a fantasy matchup. Like, he's been okay, like serviceable. But yeah, I mean, Bell is the only back.
Let me give you tots up. Yeah, so I'll give you one. The Broncos' backfield is disgusting now that Drew Lock is at quarterback. Melvin Gordon saved his day, but Javonte Williams had a bad game, again, without a touchdown to save his day. Would you go Le'Veon Bell versus either Broncos running back against Kansas
I'll probably just throw out Bell. I mean, right, he's going to get all the touches. He caught 3 balls. Right, that's significant that he caught 3 balls, and Brady loves to throw the football. So this is
what I heard out of that, Chris. Was I'll throw up, Bell. That's what I heard. That's all I heard out of all that.
Yeah, I mean, this is why you don't play Week 18, right? But if you're playing in your home, your family leagues, and things are, I'm seeing that comment. That is absolutely absurd. You can get to it, Jake.
Yes,
but
I gotta go talk about that.
Lev Bell's going to catch 5 or 6 passes this week, is he not? No Godwin. No, they could limit Gronk. They could limit some guys. Evans. We could see Lev Bell catch 8. I wouldn't be shocked if he caught 6 or 7 passes this week.
I mean, yeah, they're down to Tyler Johnson, Brashard Perriman. I mean, Perriman barely got on the field. It might be the next game back. Are you waving at Juan? Is that what that was?
Yeah.
So for everybody that's just listening on the podcast, I have no idea what the hell I'm talking about.
Exactly.
Anyway, when it comes down to, so 2 things. Mr. Nice Guy in the chat best fact he's got $2,000 on the line for Week 18. If you win, you should take 1,000 of that, go seek help, and talk to people why you shouldn't play Week 18 with that much money on the line. Like, talk to your therapist.
Can't get his league to change.
Then play in a different league. There is no way on earth I'm putting a fourth digit on a Week 18 championship. And this is our job. There is no way on earth. If it was 2,000 on the line, I'd put $1,999 into DraftKings instead versus doing this. And there's no way. Anyway,
take it down.
So
Mr.
here are
Nice Guy. Take it down.
Yes. So here are the 500 for second place. Yeah, take the 500. Like I said, go play DraftKings. So breaking it down, here's our scenarios. The Packers could conceivably sit everybody. There's nothing. They win or lose, nothing changes. They already locked in the number 1 seed. I know they said they want to play. Aaron Rodgers said he wants to play. Let's be real. Aaron Rodgers dealing with a toe. Do you really want to lose people at this point? I would doubt it's preseason. I would doubt they play more than like a quarter if they play. And then you have, this is the interesting ones now. The Eagles, like Chris knows, they're the same situation. They can't do anything anyway. They're wild card. They're set. They're done. So you could see a lot of them, and we're going to talk about them as a whole because their running back situation just got real messy. But the Cowboys, Bucks, and Bengals, they all are in a situation where we don't really know because the Bucks and the Cowboys both said they're going to try and play for the number 2 seed, but again, it's the number 2 seed versus the number 3 seed versus whatever. So do they rest? Do they play half the game? Is the game in control? And then they bench. And then the Bengals are the same way. The Bengals, if the Chiefs win on Saturday, they're in the same situation because the Chiefs knocked them out of the contention for the number 1 seed. So, Lauren, I'll go to you first. The Packers.
Good, because I'm confused.
Yeah. Well, the Packers and Eagles can't change their situation. I think we all assume a lot of them are going to be rested, especially because they're dealing with injuries, both to quarterbacks. Those aren't the teams I want to talk about. Bucks, Cowboys, Bengals. What's your opinion on those three? Do you think their starters play half, full, quarter, all three of those? And they could be 3 different answers.
Okay, this is... Obviously, this is going to be dependent because if any injuries happen during the game, then this is going to go straight out the window. So I hate these kind of, guessing games that we have to do here in Week 18, which is another reason I hate playing in Week 18 here. But what my gut is telling me here, based on what it is that they're, what my Vert tells you, what my gut right here is telling me, my gut that has had a wonderful holiday season. Let me just say, cheesecake is amazing.
Nice.
Yeah. So I think they will play 3 out of 4 quarters, if not all 4 quarters. So I don't.
For all 3 games?
I think for all 3 games, and not just because of the playoff implications, but I think they have things that they need to work out, especially with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers missing now Antonio Brown, no Chris Godwin, and then possibly just Le'Veon Bell. So who knows? They may need to start working on, okay, if this is what we're going to have moving forward, then we need to figure out how to play in the real playoffs by staying in a real-time game situation. So that's kind of what that matchup is telling me here too. I think the Cowboys also have a lot that they need to work on as well that they still have not shown us that they can do. So I think the Cowboys are going to need to stay in for a majority, if not all 4 quarters, to work on their issues that they have moving forward. Now the Bengals, I think, are the only one that may have a less time with all of their starters. Less time, that didn't make sense. May have less time for all of their starters, something like that, simply because I think that they have their identity set and they want to make sure they're okay.
If I'm going from play the most of the game to least of the game potential,
yes.
I would say you correct me if I'm wrong. It sounded like you said Cowboys most, Bucks second, Bengals
Bucks,
least.
Cowboys, Bengals.
Same for you, Chris?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think, something that I've talked with Jake about over the past couple of weeks is this Dallas team and Dak on the road, it's a different quarterback. They need a home game. I think that they need it. They want it. They need to get on track. Lauren's right. The offense has been it's been inconsistent since Dak has had that calf injury. So I think that they play, and I believe that the Eagles will rest a lot of people. I think I saw 12 or 15 of their players land on the COVID list yesterday. That's a game on Saturday. So all the more reason for them just to not even play these guys anyways. And they have the luxury of treating this like a bye week for them, where other teams are playing for seedings, like Dallas and Arizona and the Rams. Like these teams are playing for, and the Bucks, they're playing for a seeding. They're playing for a potential first game at home, where the Eagles already know they're on the road. They're locked in. They can rest. So I don't think they'll play. Aaron Rodgers was on last night with the Manning boys. He basically said that they're not going to play this week against Detroit. I agree with Lauren. I don't think the Bengals are going to play either at all. Why? Why would you? There's whatever.
Burrow's
you're
dealt
locked
with
in.
injuries. Mixon's dealt with injuries.
Yeah.
Well, Mixon's been banged up.
Mixon's been banged up. I don't think you'll see Mixon. I think maybe you see Burrow for like the first quarter, and that could be it. What's the point of rolling out Chase? Yeah, what's the point of rolling out Jamar Chase or Higgins too, right, Lauren? Like, you're not going to ruin your playoff opportunity because you roll out these guys in a meaningless game against the Browns. And then the Bucs, I think the Bucs rest too. I just feel like there's so much going on.
With you on that.
I think that they're the type of team that's like,
if they were
we don't
fully
care
healthy,
where we play.
If they were fully healthy, I could see the Bucs because it's okay. This is a completely different organization. Tom Brady with the Bucs versus with Bill Belichick, but at the same time, Brady himself is such a competitor. Like, he just doesn't like sitting towards the end of the season in general. Sure. So if everybody was healthy, but that's why, because now they're down to, it's similar to your Eagles. Let's talk about the Eagles real quick. We might be seeing Kenneth Gainwell. Like, I know earlier this year, Chris. It's no. It's so funny because you know what? You mentioned Boston Scott. I was thinking about you the entire time I was thinking about you, Chris. The entire time I was doing rankings because we had the conversation when this first happened earlier this year with Miles Sanders.
I was thinking about you too.
Yes.
Jake did it first, though.
Yeah, that's true.
But Tony Pollard did it better.
We were sitting there, Chris and I were sitting there banging the table like everybody. It's Boston Scott, it's Boston Scott, it's Boston Scott. And everybody was like, oh, it's going to be everybody. It's going to be Kenneth Gainwell. And it was Jordan Howard before he was even Kenneth Gainwell. And then Lauren, same thing on the waiver show. We did. It's not Kenneth Gainwell. But now, two guys on COVID with no Miles Sanders.
It should be him.
So we are saying, let me put this into context now, Chris. Assuming no Jordan Howard or Boston Scott, because if either one of them or both of them clear, we know they're in the lead. We've seen enough that everybody out there is not confused about the Eagles' backfield at this point. If both of them are out, Kenneth Gainwell versus Le'Veon Bell.
I would go Gainwell there because I think that they would run. I mean, they're the number one rushing team in the NFL. I know that they're probably going to miss some guys in the offensive line, but they're probably still going to want to run the rock and run the football. Where Tampa, I just don't know, right? Like, how much success is Bell going to have running between the tackles? He hasn't shown us that in the past couple of years. Maybe he catches a few balls out of the backfield, sure, but I would lean with Kenneth Gainwell there. But again, like, Mr. Nice Guy, I hope that you have some better running backs to roll out for your $2,000 championship than these two guys. But I would assume, Jake, that Gainwell probably touches the ball 15 plus times. I'd be shocked if they rolled out Scott. And
I'm gonna add one more to this, Lauren. Hold on a second. What if it's Kenneth Gainwell versus Le'Veon Bell, and Beowulf is at quarterback?
I'm lost because didn't Kerryon Johnson just sign with the Eagles?
They signed him. Yeah, he's been a part of the practice squad. She wants to make it even more confusing and throw Kerryon in here. He probably will get some touches
that
too.
Bad?
No, that's how much he is dead to me. Dead. So give me Le'Veon Bell. I'm done with this conversation. I am so done with Kenneth Gainwell. And it has nothing to do with him. I'm done with Nick Sirianni. This is where this all stems from for me. I'm so sorry, Chris Meaney. All of my really good friends, all my best friends, actually, they're Eagles fans. I cannot, with the fertilizing and the growing trees and everyone's like getting on board with it and like, just go buy some Miracle-Gro. I don't know. I can't keep houseplants alive. But like, no. I will let's make a bet here, the three of us, that Kerryon Johnson has a better fantasy day than Kenny Gainwell.
The Kenneth Gainwell? Oh, I'll take that bet. You taking that bet, Chris?
Yeah, I'd take that one too, but I wouldn't be shocked if he was in there. There's no reason for him not to throw him in. Again, if you're Sirianni, What are you doing here? You're not rolling out the offensive line. You're not playing Scott, even if he gets cleared. He's on the COVID list. Even if he gets cleared, got the short week here on Saturday. You're probably not rolling out Howard either, right? I think they feel like Sanders could play in that first playoff game.
Well, that's why I said, what if Gardner Minshew's at quarterback?
If we see Adrian Peterson on that team, I swear to God, I'll be done. I will be done.
No, you should see your boy. Minshew should play this week. Minshew should play.
Didn't you miss? They did it. They showed a little highlight of Adrian Peterson in street clothes on the sideline of that Seahawks game because he was watching the gloriousness of Rashad Penny, who is 2 times the running back that Tony Pollard is, which means he's Chuck Norris times 10 for everybody that does the quick math there.
That was
I
a lot.
benched him over the weekend, and it crushed me. I played Ronald Jones over him.
That 192-point game?
No.
You remember when I cut Barkley and
devastating.
Barkley and Amari Cooper? You know who was instead? Rashad Penny and Monron St. Brown. Those were in my lineup instead.
Would you guys have played Ronald Jones over Rashad Penny last week, though?
Hell
against
no.
the Jets?
No way. No way. And Chris, you and I said this too. Ronald Jones is another one who's dead to me too. He got Keyshawn Vaughn. Who gets Keyshawn Vaughn? Ronald
Jones.
Jones.
20 carries the week before though. Like I thought to myself that he would still get 15 touches against the Jets.
Stop it. Keyshawn Vaughn had the biggest thing. Explosive run.
Yeah. No. I need Lauren on my side to make these decisions.
The takeaway from that and that one is just another example of the Jaguars and then the Raiders 2 weeks ago is any given week. Nobody expected the Jets defense the Jets defense is trash. And it shows up and is dominant against the run. Dominant
the Bucs, in that game. The Bucs actually may be in trouble. I think they are.
For sure.
They're missing so many pieces. Lauren talked about the offense. Maybe they need to get out there and do they need to, Jake, in your opinion? Does Brady need to get in there and have a bit of a rapport with some of these secondary and third guys that I've never heard of catching touchdowns at the end of games?
No, it's just Brady's fine. Rapport with me tomorrow.
You're asking him to slum it with the practice squad?
Yeah.
No.
He eat avocado.
Brady needs these guys to be ready to rock.
But what else I'm saying?
Cyril stepped up. What?
They need to be practicing. Tom Brady, like I said, he could turn me into, I'd say, I don't know. Colin Johnson, maybe. I was
every
say
time I hear,
really low.
every time I hear Cyril Grayson's name, it just reminds me of that one Cat Stevens skit where he's his kid walks in the morning. He's like, "Morning, Daddy, time for some cereal." So every time I hear Cyril Grayson's name, I just think of that whole comedy skit. It always makes me laugh.
So you need to get RotoWare to make a Cyril Grayson.
I do. Yes. That'd be the greatest ever.
Shout out to RotoWare.
Morning, Daddy.
I just ordered a whole bunch, so I could do some giveaways for 2020. Oh, a whole bunch of Band Kickers t-shirts yesterday. I think I ordered 18, so there you go. Yeah, nice, because I am nice. I did it first. So
you did better than Tony Pollard, or Tony Pollard could have done it better. I'm getting myself mixed up now.
So I know your answer, Lauren. So I'm not even coming to you on this one because we've already buried Le'Veon Bell and Kenneth Gainwell on the ground, according to you. I mean, you're gonna start I don't know.
I'll start Le'Veon Bell over Kenneth Gainwell. I'll start Le'Veon Bell. I never said I wouldn't start him.
Would you start Rex Burkhead over both of them?
No, I would start Le'Veon Bell over Rex Burkhead.
Okay, thank you. Okay. I just want to make sure. Rex Burkhead is 2.2 yards.
I don't
per
have
carry.
the shovel out for Le'Veon Bell. Kenny Gainwell, yes.
We are going Jarrett Patterson over all of them, correct?
Yes.
Anybody we've mentioned so far.
Yeah, absolutely. As long as Gibson's out, sure. No reason to play Gibson either.
That was the assumption there. All right. Are we going the Goon over Le'Veon Bell and Kenneth Gainwell? No, says Lauren.
Who's the Goon? What are you talking about?
Agumbawale. The Goon.
When did we start calling him the Goon?
It's 18 weeks ago with Pat Mayo because it's much easier to say the Goon for everybody else.
Okay. So the show that neither of us were on, and we both looked at you okay.
I was a little unsure about the Goon too. I saw it in the show doc. I saw it in the show doc, and I had to think about it for a bit when I saw it on the show doc. I immediately thought of the movie The Goon, right? The hockey movie, right? But that's.
I thought of the Goonies.
No. Everybody check the tape. Last week on Tuesday's show, I know I said the Goon to you, Lauren.
I'm sure you did. That goes in one ear and out the other. I don't listen to you.
There you go. So don't blame this on me. Don't blame not knowing about the Goon.
Okay, so Le'Veon Bell or
I even asked you to spell Agumbawale.
I know, and I didn't get it right. I missed the N.
Anyway,
makes me mad.
Agumbawale, since we have to spell it out for you.
Yeah.
Agumbawale or Kenneth Gainwell or Le'Veon Bell. Rank those.
Let's go Le'Veon Bell. Why not? You only live YOLO.
Over the Goon?
I'm going Lev.
Okay. Same for you, Chris?
Yeah. Same for me. I think Bell's going to catch a bunch of balls. No, I didn't. Yeah. I Lawrence kind of got me off of Kenneth Gainwell. I understand it, right? Gainwell's he's broken some hearts earlier in this year, but he should get more touches than Lev Bell.
Don't let my bitterness influence you, because
Kerryon Johnson's not coming
scorned.
off the street to usurp Kenneth Gainwell. Maybe.
Scorned.
I think I'd rank Bell 3.
Jordan Howard came off the practice squad, basically the streets, to completely usurp Kenneth Gainwell. So it's not like this is without precedent.
Jordan Howard and Peyton Barber. We've said it before on this very show with you, Lauren. I asked you that question. You couldn't say yes.
Oh, we did? I forgot that too.
Chris, have we ever seen Peyton Barber and Jordan Howard in the same place at the same time? No.
That's right.
They're the same running back.
I remember that.
Kenneth Gainwell can't block. That's kind of what Jake and I was a few weeks ago when we
Yes.
talked about
That was the Boston Scott
and why
conversation.
and this is the same thing heading into last week. It was a lot of people were ranking Howard ahead of him. It was Boston Scott. He's a better pass protector, and he can catch balls into the backfield. You're not kind of showing your true cards when you have Jordan Howard on the field, but it's still the Eagles and it's still a mess. But
Look, we've gone so far that like Barkley even got up off the couch. She's like, "Come here."
She always like I feel like she gets up off the couch from our shows because your level of volume when you talk to me tends to like increase because you get so frustrated with me that it just keeps going. And she's like, "Dad, are you okay? Everything's fine."
Like, who are you yelling at? I got zero sleep last night. I felt bad for her. She, for everybody that has dogs, she had like a little butt squirty thing, that gland thing. I don't really want to.
Oh yeah, the anal glands. Yeah.
Freaked her. I don't want to. Yeah. Anyway, it freaked her
natural
out.
thing.
And she was banging around in the cage trying to get out because it freaked her out. So I had to let her out. And then she slept in the bed because I felt bad for her. And,
Oh, poor baby.
when she sleeps
That's
in the-
tough for bigger dogs too. That's not a fun
Yeah.
thing
Well,
for
she
them.
also likes to sleep right behind my knees. So anytime I try to move in the middle of the night,
And how much does she
it's
weigh?
The whole process, 50.
So like basically a large child.
Well,
Yes.
yeah, because she's that size, but she's pit mix, so she's a lot of muscle. She's not that big of a dog, but she's.
Oh yeah, still sturdy. Real
Oh, yeah.
sturdy.
She's built like Derrick Henry. It's
Yeah.
all in the muscle.
not
My
like
dogs
Saquon.
my dogs are the size
No.
of your dog's head. So
No, because she doesn't have the legs like Saquon. That's why.
Fair enough.
What are we talking about? Running backs.
what are we doing?
Do you
Week
care at all
18
about?
running backs.
I know Duke Johnson, Mike Davis, at this point.
No. I
No.
don't care about any of them.
Okay.
Word.
Maybe Mike. I mean, what's there to care about, Mike? Like,
Why is
what are
Mike
we looking
Davis
for?
like at this point? We've moved
Yeah.
on from Mike Davis, and now he's getting
Yeah.
back involved. Mr. Nice Guy, why are you burying us? We're not going anywhere. We're gonna be for everybody that doesn't know. First of all, ranking show tomorrow with Jeff Ratcliffe at 2:00 as always, because we're gonna talk Week 18 rankings. But the week after that is going to be 2 p.m. Wednesdays anyway. Lauren's not going anywhere once a month. Meaney's going to keep on this show. Jeff's going to stay on this show. We're still going to we're going to be around once a week for the rest of and then twice around draft time, free agency. Not going anywhere, Mr. Nice Guy. Don't bury us. Stay with us. Keep watching. Put us on in the background. Keep the thumbs up, subscribes up. Make the comments. Do all that stuff. For the algorithm. Just say this is a comment for the algorithm.
For my own
What?
personal vanity. Thank you.
Yes. Wide receivers. KJ Osborne at this point. If you wanted him, you wanted him. I don't know why he's still out there. Very similar to, I saw Stevenson still not 60%, which I said in my waiver column. I'm assuming 40% of the leagues just quit at this point because Ramondre Stevenson should not be out there.
Agreed.
But what are we doing with Braxton Barrios? Chris, I'm going to go to you first because you mentioned Braxton Barrios as part of those teams earlier. Braxton Barrios, assuming there's no Jamison Crowder, is this now Amon-Ra St. Brown light, as in we just need to give him the wide receiver 3 respect deserved?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Like I said, I mean, I rolled him out last week, rolled him out the week before. Crowder was out of both of those games. I was thrilled to get 21 points and never thought that. But the previous weeks, he had double-digit fantasy points. He's actually had 8 in 4 straight games. So I don't know if he's going to get 12 targets. But if you're the Jets too, like what are you doing? Like Crowder, like take a seat, bud. You're done. Like this is it. You played your last game with the Jets. It's all over for you. Let's see what we have here in Braxton. Obviously nothing significant for the future, but it seems to have a bit of a rapport with Zach Wilson. So against the Bills, who are probably going to rest a lot of their defenders in the second half, yeah, I would play him as a wide receiver 3.
You, Lauren, or is he in Kenneth
Yeah.
Gainwell territory for you?
I love Braxton Barrios.
Oh,
I
we finally
love him.
Wow.
I love him so much. Like, yay.
Oh, you know, Lauren,
I
you know
love
what you're
it.
supposed to say?
Oh boy. Duck,
Say it.
yeah. I said duck, yeah.
Oh,
know.
nice. See,
Yeah.
he does.
I'm
Jake
Braxton
doesn't bring
Barrios.
out the duck sounds with me. It's just the fart sounds. It's everyone
Well,
who does
because the
that
duck-
over the weekend.
The duck
He just,
never shuts up. The duck just keeps talking.
The
all
duck
the
keeps
time.
going. That's why.
So I like Braxton Barrios is one of those really fun players to watch, but he's also very sneaky and explosive. So what I really like what he's been able to do over the last 4 weeks is he actually has 2 rushing touchdowns in the last 4 weeks. He also saw, I think, double-digit fantasy points, or double-digit targets in the first week. He's getting it done, and he's getting it done creatively. And
He's
it's
their
not like
Debo.
he is. Yeah, it's not exactly, and it's not like he is being used. So I think he's more of a Debo Samuel light here, but and they're using him
Hey,
so
St.
creatively,
Brown got
and
a
I
rush.
really like him.
He
But
got his
does he
got
have
his run
2
for a
rushing
touchdown.
touchdowns in the last 4 weeks?
No, but he got one. got
Okay,
one.
well, more like Debo Samuel than Amon-Ra St. Brown. Stop it. This is my monologue, not yours. Be gone.
So,
Anywho,
I was-
yes, I love Braxton Barrios. Good
He had
job
a
for you,
punt
Meaney.
return
I am very
touchdown
proud of
too,
you.
right? Thank you.
Eh?
Thank you. It was pretty
Yeah,
slim
there you go.
pickings. I didn't have many options to pick up,
But you picked. You
Um,
have chosen wisely, my friend.
I did roll him out. They also use him in the return game too, right? And he, like
Yes.
Lauren said, he's pretty explosive.
So I didn't even need him, but I did the play the keep away. I did the picked him up and then
nice.
dropped him Sunday morning, and nobody could get him. So I played that one a little bit.
Ouch.
Smart.
No friends in fantasy. You guys need to be smart. Block your opponents. I'm not saying by the detriment of your own team, but hey, if I was playing for keepers for next year. We still got to get to that topic. Gabriel Davis, Mr. Nice Guy, asked about him. I was going to mention him as well. That was a bad weather game for the passing game, but Gabriel Davis, whether or not Emmanuel Sanders returns, Chris, I'm still on Gabriel Davis. He had already moved past Emmanuel Sanders, and he has been essentially a top 25 wide receiver when it's just been him as the second wide out. I think it's a bounce back game and better weather for Buffalo this, assuming better weather. It is better
Top
weather.
25. Top 25. You say? Am I going to get my bold prediction right? No, he's not going to finish as a top 25, but he has been a top 25
I don't know,
recently.
what's the Buffalo weather right now? Go, continue. I'm gonna
Always
look it up
bad.
right now. I know.
Just
Always
assume.
Just assume
Just
it's bad.
assume. I've been to Buffalo twice, and both times it was awful.
No.
Very
We got
cold
the 40s.
and
We got the 40s on Sunday.
no snow. No snow.
Well, a chance of rain showers, 60% chance in the 40s. Now, that 60% chance is a little worrisome if it drops 10 degrees.
I'm a little hesitant to roll him out a championship again. We're talking about this. I feel like
you
Mr.
know who
Nice
he's
Guy
facing?
here. Like 2K on the line. He's playing the Jets. What I think about the Bills are going to do here this week is probably push the pace in the first half, score as many points as they can, and maybe just rest everyone in the second half where it really won't matter. So maybe Gabe Davis gets a touchdown or two early on. They probably scale it back on a guy like Sanders and Diggs and let him roll out more than anyone else. So yeah,
Okay.
I play him.
All right,
Risky
Lauren, how
business,
about you? Laquan Treadwell, who has been, I
Why
don't
do
know
you
how many
always
times.
ask me about Laquan Treadwell?
Because
This is like the
since the
Detroit wide
first time I
receivers.
asked you about him, he's been the number one wide receiver for the Jaguars. Nobody's paying attention. Nobody cares he had 80 yards last week because he plays for the Jaguars. But if you put him in your fantasy lineup, he's been producing as a wide receiver 4, a lot of leagues as a wide receiver 3. Chris, I took about 12 weeks for me to get her on board with the Lions wide receiver. Can I finally, last waiver show of the year, can I get you on board? Just say yes with Laquan Treadwell this week.
Oh my God, fine. I'll start Laquan.
Oh, I thought you were about to
Treadwell.
say a different F word. Didn't it seem like she was about to say that?
Kind of, yeah. Because it also something cut out too at there right around the same time. I don't know if it was like my audio or just like Tino, like maybe around a 10-second delay here.
I thought
Like
she
the
was going
beep.
to be like, all right.
No, I'll start. Okay, I'm done now. I'll start Treadwell. I was
We're
not-
rolling out Treadwell. Screw it. We're rolling him out there.
There goes my makeup.
All right. So before we get to some of our little awards to finish out the show, for the people for next year, I mentioned it before. All these backup running backs, I mean, all of them. I mean, like depending on what your bench is, even Chris Evans, because people are like, why do you want Chris Evans? Well, at least he's so much better. I'm like, no, he could be the next man up. Samaje Perine okay, but Chris Evans better all around. What if, and this is the only scenario, what if Joe Mixon gets hurt in preseason? That's all it is he wouldn't be the first running back to get hurt in the preseason. Yes, Joe Mixon is clearly the bell cow, but that's my point. So I was saying Khalil Herbert, Chris Evans, like all these backups. Michael Thomas, yes, he didn't play this year. He pulled the A.J. Green, which was Chris and I talked about in the preseason. I said was my concern with Michael Thomas is that he was going to pull an A.J. Green and not even play this year. But Michael Thomas, is there any names, Chris, that you're thinking of, like go stash because next year's value, like a Josh Palmer, somebody like that if Mike Williams doesn't come back? Any of those kind of names that you have been throwing on like a keeper or a dynasty team? Well, most dynasty teams, these are rosters. So keeper wise.
I think Palmer's a great one. Terrace Marshall. I don't know what's going to happen with Carolina next year. I don't know who the heck the quarterback is going to be. They signed Robbie Anderson, right? They extended him before the season started. So he's one that kind of, like, I'm not into Robbie, but that kind of hurts Terrace Marshall. I was surprised that Marshall didn't get some more run down the stretch here. So he's one that stands out. Yeah, I don't know. Like a lot, like you said, some of these running backs, like an Evans, I suppose, right? We saw a lot of running backs like Dobbins go down, Gus Edwards went down, Akers went down. So it's very possible. Unfortunately,
Ravens lost
right?
17
We could
running
see
backs.
a lot of running backs go down early. So I think just a lot of these rookies, I can't think of any other ones off the top of my head. I did pick
Lauren?
up Terrace Marshall in one of my keeper leagues, but I don't even know if I'm going to keep him. But you just don't know what can happen in the offseason.
It's a free ticket.
They could
Anybody
cut
else,
Robbie
Lauren?
or trade him, right?
No, I was trying to think of someone else too, but I think you covered those, Meaney. Same.
Kadarius Tony. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, look, and there's no Sterling Shepard. I mean, unfortunately, Daniel Jones and Joe Judge sound like they're going to be back, but
Yeah.
whatever. All right, so then let's go to this, Lauren. How about for you? Some waivers things, like little mini awards before we get out of the show.
Ooh.
Let's start with, you know what? Let's start with the bad. How about that? Because I want to go back to a player we've already talked about on this show, Chris. I want to get to Lauren, even though you and I did it first because Lauren's show with me was on a Tuesday. So we actually did it first. But who was the fool's gold, the worst waiver pickup of the year that everybody went crazy for, Lauren?
Good old Kenny Gainwell.
It's kind
Good
of come
old
full
Kenny
circle here.
Gainwell. And we're coming right back full circle. Just, brings it all around. No. Oh my, I bitter flames on the side of my face. Great quote from the movie Clue right there. Mrs. White. But yeah, no, that was no. I'm so upset about that pickup because I was so proud when I got him. I was like, yeah, I beat everyone. I got him. And then I was like, why did I do this? I made such a horrible mistake. And then Jake rubbed it in my face the next day because he was like, whoa, we told you Boston Scott. And I'm like, yeah,
the worst.
I hear it.
That's the worst. Come on. I'm already feeling like crap about the pickup,
Thank
right?
you.
It didn't work out, but thanks, Jake.
You should have listened to my show the other day, Lauren. Like, A, insulting me for not paying attention to another show, and then B, insulting me because I picked up Kenny Gainwell.
Do you want to just take the last 3 minutes to yourself to complain about
Yeah,
Kenny Gainwell?
absolutely. I will. What's next? Let's go. Let's see. Meaney, what is your worst waiver wire pickup?
Yes.
Fool's gold.
Thank you.
Jeremy Mcnichols. I didn't fall for the AP.
Yes,
but when Derrick Henry went down, week 8 against the Colts, I'm looking at Jeremy Mcnichols. 7 for 24, 5 fantasy points, 1 fantasy point. Then he got hurt. Then he came back, and it was already Foreman's job. Like, it was just his backfield. So pretty cool story to see Foreman and Rashad Penny, guys that we've liked before in the past, show up. But Jeremy Mcnichols, I spent probably $75 on him in one league. I saw somebody spend 90 plus on him. He was a hot waiver wire pickup, and he didn't do anything. And neither did AP, really. Like, AP found the end zone once or twice, but he was awful too. And I think a lot of people spent a lot of fab on those two.
All right, so then I'm going to give you my surprise one. I don't think a lot of people would say this. I already said his name briefly just a few seconds ago. Gadarius Tony. And it's not because he got you the 1 week, because he got you 1 week of actual use. Most people didn't get him for that first game, but they went ballistic in fab to get him. And that's why, is because they ignored the situation, the fact that if Sterling Shepard, when healthy, was still in front of him, Kenny Galladay still in front of him, and the quarterback and the offense were still trash. And that's what it really came down to. And it's mostly, go back, even if the offense was good, he was still never going to be more than 3 without injuries. And then you even factor in Saquon Barkley to the backfield. It wasn't a bad pickup. It was the amount that people went crazy for him. So let's flip it around. You can go first this time, Chris. The best waiver pickup that you saw this year.
I think Cordell
I feel like
Patterson.
There's only 2, and you guys took both of them.
I think, even though Patterson down the stretch, week 15, 16, 17, 13 quick math, 17 fantasy points in 3 weeks, but at least he got you there. Yeah. Yes. But, hopefully the rest of your team was fine. You picked him up maybe as a flyer. I don't think anyone really bought into week 1, but then it was week 2 where he really went off. And I'll be honest, I really wasn't buying in through the whole time. And producer Tino, who runs the show here and runs the show for Mean Streets, he was always like Patterson. And I was like, sell high. But he was a great waiver wire pickup. I think he finished as a top 12 running back if you had RB eligibility. And in Yahoo, he's a wide receiver too. So it was a nice pickup.
I agree with Lauren. Lauren, this is the one because he didn't let you down at the end of the season.
Eli Mitchell, man. Eli Mitchell. What are we calling him now?
Unless you count missed games, but when played.
Well, does it count though? No, I don't like that game.
That's what I'm saying. Like the games he played.
Elijah Mitchell. I think he did great. And he was one of those, he was, I think, the running back that epitomized what I think you've been trying to say for a long time, Jake, when it comes to, getting Kyle Shanahan. He was that one that really proved when there is loyalty there, he will get the usage. And I really struggled with finding a good example of that But Eli Mitchell really, really established it. And one of the reasons I love him so much was because he was this untouted rookie that came in and just lit it up and got it done. And I love those kind of storylines. But again, he also produced in fantasy, which was fantastic.
So real quick before we get out of here, Lauren, the 1 week waiver, the best 1 week waiver just happened for you. What was your pick?
Jared Patterson.
Best 1 week.
That's my baby.
I think Meaney. I agreed with you on Mitchell, but I think Meaney gets this one. I'm gonna agree with it because he finished as the RB1.
Yeah, Justin Jackson. Justin Jackson. As an Eckler owner, I was scared the week before and picked up Jackson, and then Eckler went on the COVID list, and then he joined Liz Loza. I think he joined. Who joined the show with him? I think it was Dawson Knox, and Dawson Knox was talking about how he's like, I have you in my fantasy league. Are you going to play this week? Kind of deal. And he's like, I think you should go pick up Justin Jackson. Go pick up my backup running back. He basically told everyone to go do it. And yeah, he turned out 30 fantasy points, 2 touchdowns. It just so happened to be the best possible matchup against the Texans when you needed somebody the most. So yeah.
I love that one, Chris. I love that one because I was in the exact same position as you did. And that's actually what really helped propel me was Justin Jackson. So
nice.
Before we get out of here, and we'll make it real quick, Lauren, because we're up against the clock. Sandra, yes, we trust Eli Mitchell. As of today, you trust the 49ers running back. You pretty much have to wait up until I was going to say week 1. You have to wait to just see. Again, if Shanahan tells you something, believe him. Like he does. It was supposed to be Mostert this year, and everybody was fine with Mostert. How many times did I tell you that, Lauren? It was like everybody was fine with Mostert, and then he goes down and I don't know who to trust. Like it was, he wrote him for weeks. So anyway, before
that face was the face Trey Sermon had all year, who couldn't get on the field. It was drafted earlier than Mitchell, but it was Mitchell who got the job done.
I almost asked if you were okay. Right?
All right, so we're already over. So I guess in Canada, if you got cut off, no, you wouldn't even know. So never mind. So I was about to say you could go blah, 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 but yeah, you don't know that you got cut off. So takeaway, because Meaney, did you not have a takeaway from 2021? Are you saying
it's the exact same in Laura's? I was going to give Lauren the mic to. I mean, I was going to touch on it a little bit more after, but I think she's going to nail it here.
Well, she's taking it from me because I did it first.
Oh my God, really?
I mean, this is my MO.
Yeah, Meaney and I are besties, but yeah, this is an homage to Jake. Like literally hammering down the point here. Do not leave valuable running backs on the waiver wire. And I say this because we literally just talked about Elijah Mitchell as a waiver wire pickup. We talked about Jared Patterson, who won me a league. We're talking about Justin Jackson, who got Chris Meaney over 30 points. This is incredibly important to make sure that if you have room on your roster, you see those valuable guys out there, pick them up and put them on your squad. Especially with this COVID crap and everything going on. It's insane.
Oh, no, it's 2022. We don't care. That's not going to be a thing in 2022. We're making a statement. We're putting it out. We're putting it to rest.
Put it out there.
Just like we're putting this waiver show to rest. Again, we'll be back tomorrow, if whoever's even still seeing this at this point, at 2 p.m. And then every Wednesday following, Lauren's going to take a brief hiatus as she's got a lot of stuff coming on, but she'll be back once a month. Meaney will be back more regularly. Jeff will be back tomorrow, and then more regularly as well. Follow Stepmom Lauren at Stepmom Lauren. And then also the .com and at Chris Meaney and Mean Streets and all his wonderful shows. If you want NHL betting, trust me, follow him. I haven't made any bets yet, so I haven't jinxed them yet.
Oh, no.
So don't worry about that. And we'll be back tomorrow.